The TV program, it helped me really get the feel for cameras, to work with my equipment, but also at the same time, it helped me understand what it takes to work in the TV industry. It's a place that I grew up, and now that I have a daughter myself, and I have a family to raise here in Northwest Arkansas, I want her to also grow up in a great place. I'm Jose Carranza, and I'm a portrait of a Springdale graduate.
And welcome to this episode of Springdale Today. I'm your host, Mary Jordan. Today we'll be chatting with Coach Kimberly Jenkins, the head Har-Ber High School girls basketball coach, and Sarah Paul, a fourth grade teacher at Young Elementary School. Coach Jenkins just won her 600th game, and we're going to chat about her successes on the court, as well as what it was like for Sarah to be coached by her as a student athlete. Ladies, thank you for being here today.
Yeah, excited to be here.
600 games, that's really huge. What was that like for you to have such a great success?
It's a really cool milestone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know it was happening unless, people throughout the years had made me keep up with that.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because I asked my father, he was a longtime coach. I said, Dad, do you know how many games you won? Excuse me. When you were coaching, he said, I never kept up with it. It just wasn't something that he worried about. It's not something I ever worried about, but there were certain people at the Harrison Daily Times that every year they would do a basketball report, and they were like, how many games have you won last season, and what's your overall record? And so that made me kind of have to keep up with it. So I'm glad that I did, now that we're at this point, and I've coached so long, that it's kind of neat to know that information.
Well, then who were you playing, and what can you tell us about that game?
So that game we played Camden Fairview in Little Rock, and just a little weekend classic, and I kind of knew I was getting there. We knew kind of coming into this season that it was close, and my youngest son, Connor, is a big statistician. He loves the game and loves stats, and so he was on it for me, and he's like, Mom, today is just going to be your 600th win, when you win, because we always talk in that positive affirmation. And he and my husband weren't there. It was a weekend where they had gone and hung out a little bit, and they weren't with me. And all of a sudden, I see them walk in the gym, and so they're there. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a good day. And so we ended up winning the game. The girls played beautifully, and I didn't know that my players knew. But Connor, of course, went behind the scenes and told everybody, and today's her 600th win. So afterwards, we had a little celebration, and it was really cool just to share that with my current players, and that my husband and Connor had come and driven to Little Rock to watch it happen too. So it was fun.
That's so cool. I'm so glad you got to have that experience.
Yeah.
And Sarah, you were coached by Coach Jenkins back in the day. What can you tell us about that? When and where?
Yeah, I was one of her first girls. And so I played for Coach Jenkins from 2002 to 2007 at Valley Springs, her former school that she was at for a long time. And so it's fun that we get to connect now over here in Springdale, but I got her in 7th grade all the way up through high school basketball. So Coach used to coach 7th grade basketball too.
Oh, yeah, and Pee-wees. Yes.
And Pee-wees and all of it. So we were together for a lot of years. Yeah.
And it sounds like you really got to watch her grow up as a player then too.
Oh, definitely. At my former school, Valley Springs, I was there for 18 years. And so I had them from 4th grade. I was the only girls basketball coach on campus. It was just a 3A school. So it was just me and the girls. And it was really fun to get them to come to little elementary camps and then watch them just mature into young ladies, and as students, as athletes, as people, and then now to continue that relationship and to see her as a mother and a wife and, a teacher in our school district. It's just amazing. And now it's more, she'll still call me coach. She doesn't probably ever going to call me by my first name because that's just her thing. But like we're friends and we share life and experiences, and it's pretty cool to have that, develop through the years.
Yeah, and why did you decide to coach then?
Oh, Lord. My dad was a coach, like I mentioned. It was just something I think that was ingrained in me. My first year of college, I thought I was going to be an FBI agent. Man, I was going to, go change the world. That would have been fun. I love the crime scene things. And then I just didn't have a great experience with my first couple classes with that at school. And I was like, basketball has always been my passion. It's always been, a big part of my life, a huge part of my life. And I thought that's where I could best serve and use my talents for what I think could be, serving kids and helping them to find maybe something special in the game of basketball the way I did. And it was more about, I think I really enjoyed kids. I really enjoyed how the game can develop character and those relationships that I had with my coaches and that I had, through the years. That really pushed me to be a coach.
And 600 wins. Do you have any idea how many games you've played or coached? Connor helped you keep up with those wins.
Right. Yeah, I actually wrote it down. Overall, 604 and 238 in high school. And since I've been at Har-Ber, won 17 and 63. And then I've coached, 1,248-ish kind of junior high and high school games. And then you add 7th grade games and Pee Wee games. I'm thinking around 1,900 as far as just coaching games, because we had a lot of games at Valley Springs.
Yes.
We didn't have football, so we played a little more there. But and that's just the coaching piece of it. I coached 3 years at the college level as well, so I didn't add those in or anything. And then there's no telling how many games I played in just through the years, because I was a little peewee and, not only high school and school ball, but summer basketball and traveling and all. We used to do camps every summer with the kids, when they were coming up. So there's a ton of games in there. There's a lot of basketball.
Well, and Sarah, what was it like to be coached by Coach Jenkins?
I think it was really unique and special to have her, because I think you appreciate it so much more as an adult looking back too, and seeing her character, seeing her love of the game and how she poured into the girls that she is with all the time. It was really special. I think I learned so many life lessons from being under Coach and being able to be mentored by her for so many years of my life.
Is there anything in particular that stuck with you?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. I think that sports just teach you so much about yourself. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you teamwork. Coach instilled in us so many positive qualities that I think young women need growing up. And so I think that I've carried that over into my adulthood too, and just able to persevere, able to have self-discipline. And Coach Jenkins never gave up on her girls either, which was really unique and special, I think.
And how cool is it that you guys ended up in the same school district?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a full circle story for sure. Yeah. We're so thankful.
When I found out that she was teaching, it was monitor at the time.
Yeah.
We always have, stayed in contact. She's just one of those kids that always tried to be connected. And so we've always, I still have her maiden name in my cell phone. I've never changed it over.
Yes.
It says Scott Cell when it pops up. It's
Yes.
never going to be Sarah Paul
That's so
completely
good.
to me. But it was just really cool. And then when I knew she was here, I had her come and speak and share her story with my players. So through the past, I don't know, you've probably been every year maybe since I've been here. I had her come and just share what it was like for her experience, and she's got just a great personal story, and share with our players so that they would feel, that after you're done playing for me, there is more. That relationship does continue for me, because the girls that play for me always have a little piece of my heart, and my husband's like. She can walk up to my husband, and they hug, because he's been such a huge piece of my success, and our family has. So the girls that play for me are always a piece of my family, and I wanted our girls to hear that from her and see how our relationship has continued, so that they can know, like you said, after it's over, there still can be more, and that's an important piece for me.
Yeah. She's always called us her girls, and that's true, and she still does, and that we become part of her family.
Definitely.
So why basketball? Why is that such a big part of your lives for both of you?
You want to go?
I think I love basketball because of Coach, honestly. In Valley Springs, it was the thing that you did, and I enjoyed it, and I felt like it was something that I was good at, and I loved doing it, and so that was what you did in the small town. But she helped grow the love of it, I think, and created the team and the family atmosphere that was really special. And then now my husband and I love basketball too, and so now we're trying to instill that into our own children, of just going after what they're passionate about. If that's basketball, great. If that's not, then what are you passionate about? And I think Coach could tap into that for girls, and still does. Just what are you passionate about? If it's basketball, like, let's go. And she just makes it fun, and so that's why I love basketball.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think I love basketball
fun
because
game.
it's fun. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
fun game. It's
Yeah.
fast paced. There's so much more than just the ball and the hoop. The camaraderie that you build with the people that are your teammates. You know, I think those are the people that I hang on to through my life, whether it be high school or college, or my teammates and my classmates that I went through that process with. And there's something about being part of a team and learning how to work well with others or have conflict and work through it and have uncomfortable confrontations and conversations. And I don't know, for me, it's taught me a lot about just who I am as a woman, who I want to be. And I think that's part of it. Like you said, hopefully I'm helping some young girls figure out a little bit more confidence about themselves and that they can carry that into their life. And that's important for me, is that piece of it, because there's so much, it's so hard to be part of a team and to have that push-pull and to work hard every day and to show up and have self-discipline. But, you know, we talk about, like, you know, having a great attitude and having great effort and your body language and communication and being a great teammate. Like those 5 things, we talk a lot about how that is not just about the game of basketball. It's about more than that. It's about life. Because if you can do that in life and you can have great attitude and great effort and you show up and be consistent, then that's probably going to pay off somewhere down the road, whether it be your job or for your family or just, you know, just in life for your friends, that kind of thing. So I don't know, basketball is like, I don't know, the vessel that kind of gets you to that point, I think. And I don't know, that's the part that it's more transformational kind of things than it is the transaction of just, you know, X's and O's in basketball. I feel like I do less X's and O's and drawing up plays than I do trying to build relationships with players to get the best out of them. Because I always said, I think a lot of my players, and I hope that this continues to be true, I don't want to jinx myself, but would, as Coach said, run through the wall. Like, they would try for me because they know I care about them and I love them, and I would do that same thing for them, you know. And I would be first to go, and hopefully they would follow, kind of thing. So I would never ask my players to do anything that I wouldn't have done for them. But I think that relationship piece was, and still hopefully is, the part that makes it different, you know.
Right. You'll probably have no idea how you've impacted so many students' lives long term, and that's just really super cool. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Well, thank you.
And we're chatting today with Coach Kimberly Jenkins with the Har-Ber High School Lady Wildcats, the head basketball coach, and Sarah Paul, who was coached by Coach Jenkins when she was in high school. In addition to their successes on the court in high school, Kimberly was also a member of the 2023 class of the University of Arkansas Sports Hall of Honor. She was a leading scorer for 3 seasons as a member of Gary Blair's Hogs. Kimberly still ranks 5th on Arkansas's all-time scoring list, having scored 1,733 points over 120 games played in Fayetteville. She was likewise one of the most well-rounded players in Arkansas's women's basketball history and is one of 3 players in the history of the program to score at least 1,000 points, dish out at least 300 assists, and collect 400 rebounds. That's really impressive. What was it like for you to be a Razorback? I mean, because you're such a huge part of Northwest Arkansas, and then subsequently to be part of the Hall of Honor.
Yeah. I grew up, you know, I'm a born and raised Arkansan. I'm very proud of my state. You know, lived in different parts of the state with my father being a coach. I actually grew up in Eureka Springs for part of my youth, and then Hampton, Arkansas, which is completely different. It's an hour and a half below Little Rock in South Arkansas. So I got to see lots of different parts of the state, and my dad coached in different parts as well. So, you know, just loving the state of Arkansas, loving the people of Arkansas. It was really easy growing up, going to camps at Arkansas to want to play there and to be a Razorback. And so I'm very proud to have been able and fortunate enough to play for the Lady Razorbacks, and it was a great experience. I got recruited by John Sutherland, who left before my freshman year, so I got to play for Gary Blair for all 4 years, and obviously he's a Hall of Fame coach and has had an amazing career, so it's special to have that person in my life that's part of my coaching tree, as well as some other coaches, and just had some great times, great trips. I mean, got to go to Hawaii twice and play in tournaments there when I was Arkansas. Played for Athletes in Action and got to go to Africa on a mission trip in college because of the game of basketball. So the game has really brought me a lot. And I'm very fortunate to have been able to say I'm well traveled after I got out of college because of all the cool places we did. And Coach Blair was amazing. And when we would go someplace, if we went to Miami to play in a tournament, he took us to, the beach, or he took us to, something cool to make sure we saw Pearl Harbor when we went to Hawaii, or, So it was just a really cool experience. And I think that made me more of a well-rounded person because I could make a shot, or something. That kind of blows my mind when I think about it. But basketball is like it's so cool. We talk about we're going to go play tomorrow and we're going to go to Little Rock and we're going to stop and practice at Arkansas Tech. And a lot of kids don't get that experience. So like basketball just has some cool things that it brings that, are more than just the games that you see on Friday night or something.
Yeah. Well, I had the privilege of being there the day that you're inducted into the Hall of Honor. And if that was just a ridiculous moment for me to observe it, I can't imagine what it must have been like for you to experience it.
Yeah, it was really special. Arkansas did an awesome job, like with the luncheon and then the banquet. And I had so many amazing friends like show up for me that weekend. My husband threw a little party at my house that weekend, and I had teammates that came and a lot of friends that have had a big piece of, that history with me, and to share it with my parents was amazing. Didn't get to share it with my husband's parents, and they were kind of a piece of it, as well, and they both passed, so that was kind of, sad that they didn't get to kind of have that milestone with me. But it was just amazing, and I had some teammates come that I'm just so thankful that I got to share that ride with them, and it's just, I don't know, it's very cool. I'm still blown away by it. Like what? Okay, that happened. But I'm just blessed by it for sure.
Are there any games or moments as a Razorback that stand out for you?
Oh wow, yeah. There's a bunch, I guess. And it's more like moments. It's not like I can tell you the stats from that game or the score from that game, but it's Missouri State now, but it used to be Southwest Missouri State when I was coming up, and that was a really big rivalry for us because it's just not very far away. It was a bus trip. It was one of those fun throwback bus trips where most of our other trips were by plane or something, and they brought great fans and we brought great fans, and it was just a big rivalry, and we beat them all 4 years that I played, and that was kind of cool. So I remember that. And then my senior year was the first year that we ever beat Tennessee, and I think Tennessee went on to win the national championship that year. And our team just played phenomenal that game, and the fans were going nuts, and I can kind of remember that, and just little things like that stand out, those moments, and then just so many of the plane rides where we were hanging out as teammates, or as a freshman, we were the ones that had to load all the luggage on. We were the low end of the totem pole, and some of the seniors would kind of pick on us a little bit, So some of those fun moments within your team, and then I had 3 classmates that I came through with, and we were, thick as thieves the whole 4 years, and we still have a running text message. It's those relationships and the coaches, and that was the best part, I think, for me. It's not the accolades, it was the moments, that shine out the brightest for sure.
Good for you. Thank you for sharing that with us. Mm-hmm. Sarah, is there any moments that stand out for you as a player who was coached by Coach Jenkins?
Yeah, I think it's the same.
I'm scared. I don't know what she's going to say.
It's very much the same of the little moments that stand out. Just like Coach getting on the court, and whenever we're playing 3-on-3, you'd jump in, or you would beat us in the line drill. Do you remember this?
I don't remember that.
If we were doing full court layups, she would jump in and show us how fast we should be going instead of how fast
that
we
was
were
when I was
going.
young. I was a young
So
coach.
it's those
for her.
little moments like that. The locker room. There are so many memories in the locker room. But I do remember one game stood out to me whenever I was thinking of this. It was the 2004 state championship. I was a freshman, and I had the opportunity to practice and travel with the team. And we ended up, I don't know if that was your first state championship. I cannot remember. I think it was. Yeah. And we ended up losing by about 10, I think. And I remember being in the locker room after that, just kind of waiting, like, what is she going to say? I don't know. But I remember that she told us that if we had played that team 10 times, that we probably would have beat them 8 or 9 of the 10 times. Do you remember saying this? And everyone felt such deep disappointment, and she did too. We love to win. But the fact that she told us that we could hold our head up high and walk out of the locker room, proud of what we had accomplished that year really meant a lot to me, and it showed her character of it's not about the win and the loss, although we all want to win, but it is about just the person that's in the locker room. And so she told us to put our shoulders back and hold your head up high, and we'll get them next time. And so that was really meaningful and impactful. I think especially as a freshman stepping into high school basketball, that meant a lot to me.
Well, and did you go on to play basketball after high school and college, or do you still play today?
I did not go play in college, but I was thinking about this, that I did go to U of A. And I think that part of that was because of Coach Jenkins, too, because she'd take us on a bus every year to go watch a Lady Razorback game. And so it felt like home to me. She didn't have to do that. She didn't have to load up a whole bunch of girls on a bus and drive an hour and a half. It was fun. But she did that, and so that felt like home to me, I think. And so that was another reason why I loved to go to U of A. And every time I'd go to a game, I'd always think of Coach. And so that was really special. And the only basketball I play is with my family on the neighborhood court, or I have won a couple knockout games on the 4th grade recess playground. So that's the only basketball I play still.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then, Coach, you shared that you have some games coming up as well. You're playing during holiday break, and then immediately after we come back. What does the season look like for the Lady Wildcats this year?
We're off to a really good start. We're 10-1 right now. Lost to Conway a couple weeks ago with a really good game. This group is very special, very, very young still. Only have 2 seniors on this team, but it's interesting how every year is a different kind of year, and that's I think the fun part about basketball and coaching is every year you get a new group or a more improved group, or just they've grown up and they've matured, and you just get to deal with so many cool intricacies of their personalities that blend together and change over time. And this group has got lots of personality, and they're a really fun group to coach. They work really hard, and I'm really proud of every single one of them. And it's interesting because we talk a lot about, star in your role, everybody adds value, and it's not every year is a little different. There were some years where we had teams that were really, really good and a state championship team, and then there were some years where we struggled.
I know, yeah.
And that she saw pieces of that as she came through,
Yeah.
and I think that that's the interesting dynamic of basketball, and just the new. Every year it's a little different, and it's like your classroom too. Every year is just a new group of kids, and it's a little different. And I see pieces of her in players I have now, and that makes it really cool because I can remember some of the things maybe that she struggled with, or that different kinds of players struggle with, and it's neat to see how that part hasn't changed. That everybody has a little bit of a struggle, and so you can kind of see. Doing it for as long as I have now, like you can see little pieces of what did I miss with Sarah that I should be watching for in this kid, because she reminds me a lot of her, and so I think that's interesting. So you can learn a little bit more about how to reach out to kids and dial in to what maybe helps them be their best self, or what they need to hear to know that they are valued, and not even when you can't go score 30 points, that there's still a piece of you that's so important that you add to the team. So I think that's the interesting part about this year's team too, is there's some kids that add so much value, and I don't know that they know it every day. And so it's not just the points out there, it's every kid on the team.
Yeah, that's good.
Any hopes, goals, or aspirations for this year or in the future?
Oh yeah, we always have the aspiration that we're going to be really good.
Yeah.
And really want to win it all. At the school Sarah attended at Valley Springs, we had won 2 state championships. We went to the one she was referring, and so we went to 7 state championships, only won 2. And I mean, it's awesome to be there, but we haven't done that here at Har-Ber yet. Want to do that for sure. Want a conference championship again, and for the kids. And this is not about accolades for my coaching career. This is about the kids, and I want them to have those experiences like Sarah got to experience, where you do sit in a state championship locker room, and win or lose, you get that experience, and that's really special to share with your teammates and to share as a family. And I think that that's always kind of the end goal. When you're being a competitor, is you want to win it all. but all the steps along the way are important to, just make sure we're learning and growing, and that chemistry that girls need as a team to have that as well. That's important.
Well, I'm really grateful for everything you've both shared with us today. Is there anything that I'm forgetting to discuss or that you guys would really like to be sure that you mention or chat about today while we're still here?
You want to talk about your experience in
Sure.
high school?
Yeah. So another key part of my story is that I was diagnosed with leukemia whenever I was 16 years old. And so I had to walk through that, and coach was such a pivotal point of that in my life. As I was reflecting on it, I just think that it was such a huge part of my story as a 16-year-old and in the middle of senior high basketball, getting that huge life change just dropped on you. That was another part of being part of that team that was so helpful, just to having something to belong to while walking through something really difficult in high school. And coach was there the whole time, and she never doubted me or left me behind or anything. She really linked arms with the whole team and just came alongside me, and it just shows you her character, and I valued it so much in high school, but even as an adult looking back, I think that you just value it so much too. I had my family, I had my close friends, and I had Coach Jenkins, and it shows you too, I think, just her character, that she's really for her girls, and no matter what happens, no matter difficulties they go through or successes that they go through, that she will be there for you. And so that's what I always encourage her girls with, that she's with currently, is like, hey, this is a relationship that will last as long as you just put in the work and you want it to. Like, Coach Jenkins will be there for you. So
It really is so much more than X's and O's.
it
just
is,
like you
yeah.
said.
It
Yeah.
is.
That's amazing. And how's your health today?
Great. Yeah.
Yeah?
I
Good.
did a couple years of chemo and went to the U of A and then have been in remission. So, yeah, but Coach got to walk through that with me. And I know that was difficult for her too, but it taught us both, I think, a lot of lessons that we needed to learn. So
Yeah, and she's making light of it, but a 16-year-old going through cancer is a lot, and she was so brave and did have a community of people that surrounded her with support. But it was a life-changing experience for me, because it showed me that it is more. So we said we weren't going to cry. It is more than basketball.
Yeah, it is.
It's health. It's life and death sometimes, and so it was a really life-changing experience for me. Yeah. And we don't tell. I had cancer, and Sarah came beside me when I had breast cancer 10 years ago, I think. So, it's those relationships that make those moments, really stand out. We're beyond that kind of thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I think that's why it's such a unique dynamic that we share.
Yeah.
Because there was more to it than just basketball, and there always is. But sometimes, something like that has to happen to remind you of it's, who cares about basketball?
That it's about life too.
About life.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool to have shared that with her.
very-
But that does not define her. What defines her is her character and the kind of wife and the kind of mother and the kind of teacher that she is. And, it's pretty cool to share those moments with her. I'm really proud. Our team got to go this year and do some reading
Yes, that
with her
was
class, her fourth
so
grade class at
neat.
Young. So we got to go into her classroom and the other fourth grade classes, and our players got to sit down with her students and spend some time reading, and that was super cool.
That was so
My
fun.
players were like, we have to go back when basketball season
Please
is
do.
over. So it was super fun,
Yes.
and I was able to introduce her to some that hadn't met her and that kind of thing. Like, oh my gosh, she played for you. This is like, oh my gosh, that kind of gave them
Long time
a
ago.
long-term vision of maybe
Yeah,
I will be teaching and
Yeah.
Coach will be bringing her players
Yeah.
back someday. I think that was pretty cool.
That is really cool.
It's like you said earlier, like that full circle of life
Yeah.
and her little girl coming to our little kids camps and oh my gosh, it just looks just like her. It's amazing. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like a little Sarah walking around.
I know.
It's awesome.
And I attribute a lot of my character to Coach Jenkins too. So I do, and she didn't pay me to say that. I do, and so just her saying the woman that I've become. Of course, it's my family and my friends, but it's also a lot of Coach and just how she helped develop that in the locker room, on the court, off the court while I was not well, and so just that taught me a lot. And so she has a huge part in that as a mentor, and so. Yeah, I'm excited for her girls. I'm excited for her girls to experience that just now and in the future too, and whatever life has for her. I just think that everyone should feel really privileged to be able to learn from her, and honored.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, it sounds like we have so many reasons to be grateful that you're both here with us today, and we really appreciate everything you've shared with us. We look forward to talking to you again in the future, and I'm sure we're going to have so much more to celebrate in the years to come. And thank you for joining us for this conversation. I'm your host, Mary Jordan, and I look forward to talking to you more about what's happening in the future in Springdale Today.
Springdale Today is a production of Springdale Public Schools Communication Office.
The podcast is hosted by Mary Jordan and is produced and edited by Micah DeLacy.
Be sure to subscribe to Springdale Today for free on your favorite podcast platform.
And don't forget to follow Springdale Today on social media for episode updates and behind-the-scenes conversations.
Thank you for listening. We hope you'll join us in the future
As we continue to learn about the amazing stories happening in Springdale today.